So today I'm going to do a short video on an oil change on a Mini Cooper R56. I do an oil change on one of these every 6 months. Timing chains are a known weak point on them. This one's okay, but I'm just going to safeguard that. Always do an oil change every 6 months. I'll show you what's involved and I'll show you what tools I'm using. And the method I'm using as well, you won't even need to go underneath the car, so you stay nice and clean, no need to even put old clothes on, makes it all much quicker. So the filter for the oil in this car is of the spin-on type with the paper element in it. That's a 24mm socket. Access is fairly good. So there's your dipstick, oil filler cap. So what we're going to be using, I've used this for a number of years, is one of these little oil extractors. This takes about 7.5 litres, so that's plenty enough for the Mini. I think it's only about 3.5–4 litres. So this is just a little vacuum pump I got from eBay. I think this is a laser one, but the peeler, which costs twice the price, is exactly the same item. I've had this for a number of years now. I've had to replace the seal just there. A bit of bother with that, so I've replaced that, so we'll see today if that works. I'll be using Titan Super Synth by a company called, I think it's Fuchs, you pronounce it, Fuchs, whatever. So that's a good quality oil. I'm using 5W40. The recommended grade for the Mini is actually 5W30. The reason I'm using 5W40 is because the valve stem seals on the Mini aren't in the best condition. They're a bit worn, so what I did was I thickened the grade of oil up one level. Now the recommended grade is 5W30, so 5W is the cold viscosity, so that's the same, so it won't harm the chain on startup, won't have any impact on that, but it just means the 40 is a slightly thicker operating, the oil at operating temperature is slightly thicker than it would be if it was 30, which is what I want, to try and make it smoke a bit less, and it has reduced the amount that the car smokes by an appreciable amount. Still not cured it, but it's been fine for a year with that. And we've got the little Bosch spin-on filter, pair of gloves, protect yourself from oil, and 24mm socket, and a little screwdriver just to flick off the rubber seal on the oil filter housing. And obviously a little funnel as well. That bucket is just to put in the old filter, just to catch any remnants of the oil. And there's also a little spout there that you put onto the end of the extractor once you're finished, and you can pour it back into the old container, take it down to your local oil bank. So what we'll do first is we'll put the oil extractor into the dipstick. Now the car's just been on a short journey, so the oil is nice and warm, not too hot, makes it easier for the pump to extract it, because you'll see when I put this in, it is quite a thin lance. So we'll take the dipstick out first. Part of the reason these Minis have so many problems is, look at that dipstick, I've just taken that right out. Now, can you see any oil in that? Just try and get it to focus. No, you can't. Can't see any oil. It is actually full of oil, especially when your oil's nice and clean. It's very difficult to see, so people underfill it, and I've overfilled it a few times as well, which has made it smoke a bit. So, put that to one side. And then we get the extractor. Put it in a suitable position. It's been lying about in the shelf, so this is going right inside the engine, so make sure that is super clean. So this is the lance. This goes into the dipstick tube, which is just there, and it goes right down to the bottom of the engine and basically sucks up all the oil. I've been using it for years. In my opinion, if you're doing an oil change regularly every 6 months, which I do in all my cars, then this is absolutely fine to use. I also find that the recommended amount of oil that I put back into the car is right up to the recommended amount, so that says to me that all the oil's come out. I think when the car's jacked up at an angle, I think there's probably just going to be as much oil left at the bottom of the sump as there would be by using one of these, but as I say, if there's a little bit left, doesn't matter, because the oil that's in the car at the moment isn't very old anyway. So for regular oil changes, this is fantastic, and especially like me, if you've got 4 cars, deal it today. I'm too old, I'm 41 now, I am too old to be lying under cars, scrabbling about, so this is perfect. You can even make a cup of tea. while you're waiting, just put that right down. It goes to the bottom. Take off your oil cap just to get a bit of ventilation. Try and position it so that it's not waving about. Nice and secure. It looks a bit further away, just so that it's not flapping about and it might not come out. Okay, and then see, here's how it works. So all you do is you hold it here. The seal's not the best, so this comes off. The seal's not the best, so I just hold it on, and you'll see the oil start to come down. It's quite a thin tube, so you need to make sure the car's hot. Here it comes, nice and fast. Now, depending on how big your sump is, this can take between 20 minutes to half an hour. For the Rover 75 it was a lot longer because it's 7.5 litres, that was about 40 minutes, but I don't mind, I can have a cup of tea while I'm doing it. Saves you scrabbling about. One of these is about £40. Amazon, I get mine, loads of different makes, loads of different sizes. As I say, and this new seal seems to be doing the job, which is good. So what I'll do is I'll cut back when I'm going to take the oil filter out. That's all the oil drained out the car. Now we're ready to take the filter off. That's it there. It's a spin-on paper element type. It's got an anti-return valve in it, so there's still oil in there. So I've put loads of rags around it, and I've also put something underneath the car because there is going to be a bit of oil that comes out it. Once the vacuum is broken off here, and the seal comes off, breaks the vacuum, the rest of the oil that's in there will go down into the engine, and we'll just use the pump to suck the rest of that out. The best thing to do is just to go really slowly with undoing it. Engine's warm, so it's not particularly tight. You'll only really need the spanner for the ratchet for the first few turns, and then if you've got gloves on you should be able to turn the rest of it by hand. So we'll cut back once that's out, and I'll show you what the filter looks like. So here's the filter out the car. That's only about 6 months old. See if I can pop it out. Difficult with one hand. There we go. Aye. Oops. Aye. That's only 6 months. Yep. Definitely change that. Right. We'll get that changed. Here's the new filter. It's a Bosch. So we've got new filter and the seal. Just put my gloves on before I handle the old one. So let's match them up first. Yep, perfect. So the first thing we need to do is to take the old seal. So this is the filter cap. I'm not going to turn it upside down because, oh, that's I can, there's a bucket there. So you can actually see that was what the view you got from it in the engine bay. So we're now upside down. So I was actually wrong, this doesn't have an anti-drain valve in it. So there was no mess at all, thankfully, when I took off the filter housing from the car. So there's a little seal around here, a little rubber seal. So you need to change that. So there should be a little groove for you to get the screwdriver in. Let me have a look. I don't think there is one in this car. That's fine, we can just carefully that round like this. Okay, good, that's that off. Put the new one on. Sometimes they're a bit tricky. Especially if you're wearing gloves. There we are. Now what you also need to do to promote an oil tight seal is you need to just put a thin smear of oil around the outside of it. Now, may not approve of this, I'm going to use my finger. I don't want my glove to get all oily. This is just the last of the previous oil I used. Just smear that around the outside. Don't need too much, that's perfect, just a wee smear. Clean my hand. Put that glove back on. Right, so our oil seal is now on, and that just clips in there, and then we just screw that back in. Only needs to be hand tight. That's the oil filter now back on. You have to just tighten it up a little bit, and this, in correction to my earlier claims, is not 24mm, it's 27mm. I put my 24mm socket on it and thought, why is this not fitting? That's because it's 27mm, but in my defence, here's my socket set, and the numbers 24 and 27 is a little bit confusing, so I'm not going completely mad. Anyway, that's it in. So now all we need to do is fill it with oil. Right, let's get going. Right, I'll give it a start up, let it tick over for just a few seconds to let the oil filter fill up, and then we'll turn it off again. Okay, that horrible noise it made, that was just the oil, I think it was just the oil pump or something that was dry. Took a while to circulate the oil around the engine. Right, let's check it and top it off. Find my rag. There we are. Okay, nice and clean. Okay, so it's about halfway up, so it needs a few 100ml more. Probably still need to put enough, even though it's not got much left in it. Try that. I don't want to overfill this because that aggravates the smoking from the valve stem oil seals. I think I've got an excess of oil pressure. I just like to make sure I've got it exactly right. Right, so there we go, job done. So that's today's date and the mileage, and I've put when it's next due, 12th of June 2021, or the mileage. I'm always by time.